Hey, Brian Beeler coming to you with another video live from the DataON offices in California. It feels good to be out, and I'm joined now by Rocky Shek, you're the most senior technical leader here. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Are you the most senior leader of all?
Yeah, I think so right now. For right now.
So, Howard and I have talked about the servers a little bit from Intel, these chassis and boards and such that you use. And we've posted a bunch of videos on social media about from the data center in there showing off all the new integrated solutions. But I wanted to talk with you specifically because I know you've got the hardware background to really kind of get into what's special or what's new and interesting on these specifically. So we've got the 1U integrated solution pulled out. Again, Intel chassis and board. But what are you excited about this generation of hardware?
I think is kind of like cool about this one is they have been redesigned the platform, so you can tell like they have able to pull out like 8 of the NVMe connection from the motherboard here, because we used to have all the connection on the PCI bus.
Expander cards, right?
Yeah. So if you're using for NVMe, then you have no way to using for other stuff like networking. So, but for this one, you have like the connection in here, and then you handle the drive in the front, then is able to free up the space over there. And also for the storage, you have much more storage.
Right.
In the past, like it's only like 8 drive, and then now it's 12 drive. So
that's
much better.
That was a common problem that I think all the server vendors had to face in terms of designing their boards.
Yeah.
Going to adding more NVMe drives was a challenge, and we saw a number of servers, not just the Intel platforms, with those expander cards in the back and routing all the cabling or some of the cabling after 8 drives to those things. And like you say, then you take away from network cards or GPUs or whatever else you want to put back there. So that's a big deal. So now these are capable just like SATA or SAS drives in older platforms, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. And in terms of density, you've got 12 NVMe drives in the 1U, 24 available to you in the 2U as well.
Yep.
So you've got great drive density. All right, so what else stands out then in this new design?
Of course, like the new CPU, and then you have up to like 40 the core per CPU, and then the memory is also increased. Is 32 of the memory, so you have much better the density inside, and you have like also you have like 3 of the PCI card over there. So you basically you kind of put the everything inside the single 1U. And also, if you notice, the power supply is also redesigned, because in the past it's only on one side. Now that is on the both sides. When you do like the PDU and then your cabling is much more easier for your data center the placement.
Oh yeah, we work with Eaton a ton, and they talk a lot about cable management of the PDUs, and they make these colored PDUs. You can get pink or green or blue, any color you want. And so, but that's what they're saying is a lot of data centers want that. 1 to pink, 1 to blue, and just keep it really simple for the redundant power supplies. I like this design too better because from an airflow standpoint, because I feel like this design really sucks more down through the processors and out the center. It seems more efficient to me. Go back to the CPUs for a minute. You guys really like to use the Y CPUs.
Yes.
For someone that doesn't know about this class of Intel CPU at a high level, what does that let you do?
So for the Y CPU is allow you to changing the speed and the core. So you're able to have, for example, if your application you know that is more on the speed, then you can kind of have less core, and then you bump up the speed.
Right.
And then if your application is looking for more core, then you can have more core, but of course it's lower the speed, right? But you're able to utilize the same CPU for different applications.
So same physical CPU, and then what do? You go into BIOS or something and say, I want this personality for. That's pretty neat. I guess it's probably easier too from a supply chain standpoint, because now you just have to worry about one thing that can have all these dynamic personalities.
And also our customer is sometimes they don't know like what their customer using the applications, but now that they can, okay, I'm using this one, and then I don't have to worry because I can change afterward if the application is changing.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've talked a lot before about how HCI infrastructure tends to get a target workload to solve some sort of pain point at an organization. But once it starts to go well, then they put more and more and more stuff on it, and you eventually stress some component of the system, whether it's capacity or storage performance or memory footprint or whatever. But the ability to change the CPU without physically yanking them out and going through that upgrade process is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting, I think. That's one of my favorite parts. You've supported persistent memory before. Obviously, you can still do that here, which is interesting. The testing that we're doing is on Intel 5510s, but you can also do Optane in here, QLC. You've got the hard drive chassis too, so for hybrid configurations. Are you still seeing a lot of use cases for hard drive, archive, and things like that?
Yeah, I think because the pricing of the QLC is still there. Yeah, right. So if for customer they doing like backup, and then they know that the storage, they still require the storage, and I think the hard drive is still the one that
still the most cost effective. Yeah, well, especially if you're using it as an archive or unstructured storage, it's still really cost effective.
Yep.
So these are relatively new. Obviously, Ice Lake's been out for a little while, but it's not just Ice Lake. You need the whole platform to come in and then to be able to ship these out. When do you start thinking about what's next? So next iteration of CPU and chassis and everything else.
We always thinking about it. So we already working with Intel for the next one, but of course it's still earlier. I think we right now we still focus on this one and then get it to our customer,
right?
And then find out the different use case or what is the best for our customer.
Well, you guys sell a lot of these 1U chassis. It's a popular SKU for you, I know. One of the things we've been looking at a lot lately is the E1S ruler SSD form factor, which I think is pretty cool. And when you put them in these 1Us, you can get tremendous density and performance. Have you guys, I mean, I know it's too early and Intel doesn't offer it in this chassis for you, but what do you think about ruler? Is that something you guys have considered at all?
So so we are looking at a ruler. I think that is depend on what you need because they, as you mentioned, is really stand. So you can have 1 petabyte in 1U. Right. But is like all the customer looking for, and then also I think the challenge is the availability also.
Right.
Because right now a lot of things is shortage, and then the availability is more difficult. But for like the standard, the U.2 or U.3 is more more available over there,
sure.
Right? So I think for the current customer, and I think the U.2 and U.3 is still more make sense. But definitely we looking at the ruler and then E.3 or like the future stuff. Definitely we are looking on that.
Yeah, we need to dive into E3 some more too, because when we I published some content around ruler, and it aggravated some people that have committed to E3, which is fine. I mean, I don't care what wins. I think it's neat to be able to have the conversation about something different. I mean, we've been on 2.5-inch U.2 forever, right?
Yeah, forever. Yeah.
So to think about it, and from for a hardware guy, I mean, to give you guys something else to look at, to think about, to architect systems to meet your customers' demands is pretty cool.
Yep.
One other thing that we're not showing in this video, but is sort of a hardware piece, the bezels. The bezels got a lot nicer this time around from Intel.
Yeah.
So those look good too from a pizzazz standpoint. Doesn't add any IOPS, but
yeah, I think it's for people they looking for like more consistent and then more like easy to protect the device.
Right.
Definitely is a good choice.
All right, so there you have it, the hardware overview on these new nodes from DataON, and what we're all excited about in terms of the capabilities of Ice Lake and the storage and everything else, and a little bit about what might be coming down the line. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.